The courtroom was buzzing with whispers as a young boy nervously walked to the front. His small frame and youthful face made everyone assume he was in the wrong place. Some even chuckled under their breath, wondering what a child could possibly be doing in such a serious setting. The judge, towering from the bench, raised an eyebrow and let out a laugh, shaking his head as if the whole moment was some kind of joke. To everyone in the room, it looked like a mistake. Surely this boy wasn't here for anything important. But the boy didn't flinch. Instead, he stood tall, his eyes steady and his voice calm. Every person watching leaned in a little closer, trying to understand who he really was. The judge smirked again, expecting the boy to stumble or shy away. Yet there was something in the boy's confidence, something that made the room fall silent. What no one knew was that this moment was about to flip everything upside down. The boy wasn't here to be questioned, and he wasn't here to watch. He had come with a purpose that would shock everyone in that courtroom. And when he finally revealed the truth about who he really was, the judge's laughter turned into complete silence. Gasps echoed through the courtroom as people exchanged confused glances, unsure if they had heard correctly. The young boy adjusted his papers carefully, his hands steady as though he had done this many times before. He introduced himself with a calmness that didn't match his age, explaining that he was not just here to observe, but to stand as the actual lawyer for the case at hand. The judge blinked, stunned, and the room grew tense. No one could understand how a boy could claim such a role in a place reserved for seasoned professionals. Whispers grew louder, with some people scoffing, others leaning in with curiosity. Was this a prank? Was he really capable of arguing a case in front of the court? The boy didn't let the noise distract him. His focus stayed sharp, his confidence slowly breaking through the doubt that filled the air. He spoke about the case, with precision, showing knowledge far beyond his years. His words carried weight, forcing even those who doubted him to stop and listen. Still, the judge's disbelief lingered, his stern eyes narrowing as he leaned forward. Something about this boy was unusual, almost impossible to explain. And just as the judge prepared to challenge him, the boy revealed a fact that left the entire courtroom hanging in shock. The judge's gavel tapped lightly against the bench. As he tried to maintain order, though his own curiosity was clear, "You claim to be the lawyer," he said slowly, his voice carrying both doubt and authority. The boy didn't waver. He raised his head and replied firmly, naming the client he was there to represent. The courtroom stirred again, the crowd struggling to make sense of the scene. How could someone so young take on such responsibility? The boy then revealed pieces of the case, details that even seasoned attorneys had overlooked. He spoke of contracts, overlooked evidence, and legal rights, each word striking with precision. Some jurors leaned forward, unable to hide their interest. The client, sitting nervously at the side, looked at the boy with both disbelief and hope. For the first time, it seemed like someone truly understood his struggle, but the judge was not ready to accept this so easily. His expression hardened as he questioned the boy's qualifications, demanding to know where he studied, who trained him, and why the court should even allow him to proceed. The boy's silence at first only deepened the suspense. Then, with a calm breath, he began to share a personal story, one that explained not only his presence in the courtroom, but also a secret that connected him to the very heart of the case. And that secret was about to change everything. The boy's voice lowered as he began to tell his story, and the courtroom leaned into the silence. He explained how he had spent years studying the law in ways no one expected. While other children played, he buried himself in books, watching trials, and learning from mentors who saw a spark in him. His father, once a respected lawyer, had left behind cases unfinished, clients waiting for justice. This trial, he revealed, was one of them. The boy wasn't just here as a lawyer, he was here to defend a legacy and protect someone who had been wronged. The judge's eyes narrowed further, trying to gauge if this was brilliance or bravado. The attorneys in the room shifted uncomfortably, realizing the boy's arguments carried weight. Every detail he presented connected like pieces of a puzzle, and it was clear he had uncovered evidence that no one else had dared to bring forward. Still, doubt hung heavy. The judge pressed harder, his tone sharp, warning that the court could not be swayed by theatrics. Yet each question he asked only seemed to make the boy's resolve stronger. The tension was unbearable, every eye fixed on him as he reached for the final document. His hands paused over the paper, his next words ready to shatter the silence. And in that moment, the entire courtroom braced itself, knowing the truth he was about to reveal could turn everything upside down. The boy finally lifted the paper, his voice steady as he announced that it wasn't just evidence, it was proof that someone inside the courtroom had deliberately hidden key information. A ripple of shock spread across the room, and the murmurs grew louder. The judge leaned forward, his expression tightening, while the opposing counsel froze in their seat. Suddenly pale, the boy had not only defended his client but also hinted at corruption that reached further than anyone expected. The air grew heavy with tension as he laid out names, dates, and signatures that pointed to a cover-up. Every detail he spoke made the silence in the room sharper. The crowd could hardly believe that a young boy had uncovered what experienced lawyers had missed or perhaps ignored. Some jurors exchanged uneasy glances, realizing the case was no longer just about one client's justice, but about exposing a deeper truth that threatened reputations. The judge's earlier laughter was gone, replaced with an intensity that showed he knew the weight of what had just been revealed. Still, he demanded more, pressing the boy to explain how he had obtained such documents. The boy hesitated, then revealed something even more startling, that his connection to the case wasn't only through his father. Someone in that very courtroom was tied to his own past, and the truth was about to surface. The boy's words struck like thunder as he turned to the judge. His calm gaze never wavered as he revealed that the missing documents were linked to the judge himself. The courtroom froze, stunned into silence. The very man who had laughed at him at the start was now being pulled into the center of the case. The boy explained that years ago, his father had trusted the system, but a crucial file had disappeared under suspicious circumstances. That same file had resurfaced hidden in the judge's own records. Gasps filled the room. The judge's face, drained of color, his hands tightening around the bench. He tried to dismiss the claim, but the boy's evidence was undeniable. Each page carried official stamps and signatures that could not be ignored. For the first time, the authority in the room shifted not to the bench, not to the seasoned lawyers, but to the boy who stood unwavering in truth. The client, once hopeless, broke into tears of relief, realizing justice was finally within reach. The jury leaned closer, their doubts now replaced with conviction. But just as the tension reached its peak, the boy added one final twist. The judge was not the only one tied to this case. Another figure in the courtroom, someone no one had suspected, was about to be unmasked, leaving everyone holding their breath for what came next. The room fell into complete silence as the boy revealed the final truth. The second figure tied to the case was none other than the opposing lawyer. Documents showed that both the judge and the lawyer had played roles in burying evidence years ago, leaving innocent people without justice. The revelation shook the courtroom to its core. The jury stared wide-eyed, the client clutched his chest in disbelief, and even the spectators who had come to watch a simple trial now realized they were witnessing history. The judge, once confident and mocking, could no longer hide. His laughter had turned into shame, his authority stripped away by the very boy he had ridiculed. The opposing lawyer tried to argue, but the boy's evidence was airtight, leaving no room for excuses. It was clear the truth had finally broken. Through the lies. In the end, the client was cleared, and the corruption was exposed. The boy stood quietly, not basking in victory but honoring his father's legacy. He had come not just to win a case, but to prove that justice can come from unexpected places. As the courtroom emptied, people whispered about the young lawyer who had turned doubt into respect. And long after that day, his story reminded everyone that courage, truth, and determination can outshine even the strongest walls of power.